out in the shed tonight. It's getting harder and harder to force myself to come out here because it's autumn now and it's chilly. About 10 degrees C. But I need to work on the driver's door for the Riley, the passenger door rather. I have cut out a blank of aluminium. I'm not going to film any of that because I did it before and I think that's kind of getting boring. So I'm just going to try and progress things and keep the filming to a minimum. Just one interesting thing about that, my last film, of course, I used just a silly title. I just did it as a joke. I think anyone who usually watches this knows it's a joke. I'm not trying to grow the channel. I'm not trying to get more subscribers. I don't monetize things. I really don't care about any of that. So I just put in shocking as a joke. But the funny thing is that actually works. And that last film got 3 or 4 times as many views as I would normally get. So I'm guessing it got pushed a little bit more. The funny thing is you then get people who aren't regular viewers watching, and several of them left comments basically complaining that I used shocking in the title and it was clickbait. And I find that really amusing because what they don't realize is by leaving comments like that, they're the ones who cause the algorithms to behave in that way. So they're creating their own problem. I just found that was quite amusing. One of them replied in French, so I had to translate it to even know what they were talking about. So yeah, it just makes me laugh that people are like that. It's a little bit like how people drive to work by themselves in their car, get stuck in a jam and then complain about the traffic when they are the traffic. So if you are trying to grow your channel, those clickbait titles do seem to work. That's my one data point, but yeah, interesting. So I'm going to do the the passenger door skin. I also need to make the little aluminium strips that go across the bottom here, but that should be pretty easy. I will need to figure out how I'm going to stop the doors rattling. Some of it is through adjusting this, but I may look at that original system where they had the little metal tabs that come out here, because with those I can extend the tabs out and put a little bit of rubber or something on there that I can actually shim in and out to get these to fit perfectly. I think that's probably the way to do it. What else on the car? The ramp is really good, the hoist rather. I've only walked into it once, and that wasn't from the outside. That was actually when I had it lifted up higher and I was underneath it and I walked into this edge. Because it's kind of dark under there and you don't notice this little flat flange sticking out. So maybe I should put some padding along that, cut a piece of tube or something and slide it over just to make it a bit softer. Other than that, it's really good. It does show you everywhere it's leaking, which is a bit unfortunate. And I did actually run the engine the other day. I didn't bother filming any of that. It took me quite a long time. I had to reconnect the fuel system. It took quite a long time before the fuel picked up, sucked up the fuel. Once it does, it's fine. Just sort of priming, it took a while. And it took a little while to start. And then when it did, the idle was really high, which is very strange because the butterflies were completely closed. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll have to have a look at that at some point. I'm not going to worry at the moment because at some point all of this has to come apart so I can paint the chassis. And then I'll put it back together and then I'll tune it. Other things. I think to make some more room in here, I'm probably going to sell a few things. I think I will look at selling my trials bike, KT250. Mainly because I just got that as a project and I've ridden it around the garden a little bit, and that's pretty much all I've ever done with it. Now I've got this one. I'll get eventually my proper bike license so I can ride this on the road. Again, not for any particular reason, more just because I've got it and I might as well. So I'll probably look at selling that. And I think I will also sell my little Coventry Climax generator engine that I got going. Picked this up at a swap meet a couple of years ago. Got it running. So even though it's a Coventry Climax, it's not one of those Coventry Climax, the aluminium racing type engines. It's actually a car engine from a car known as a Swift, which it's really hard to look up any information on these days because of the stupid little Suzuki Swifts, which my dad had one of those and I absolutely hated it. I know they're meant to be good little cars, but they look horrible and they feel horrible to sit in, and it didn't drive particularly well. Anyway, but apparently that's what these engines were originally for, these Swift cars, late 20s, early 30s, and that company went bust, and the Coventry company ended up buying them and reusing them as generator engines. And then later on they built their other engines that ended up being used as race engines. So it's an interesting little thing. Again, I'm not going to do anything with it. Every so often I run it to make sure it still goes, and that's kind of about it. So it takes up room. I don't need it. I'll probably try and sell that. It didn't cost me much. I think I paid $100 for it, so I'm not looking to make a huge profit. Obviously, whoever buys it will have to collect it because I'm not arranging transport for it. And I think that's it. So, oh, the other thing is the indicators. I'm not going to keep filming that. I did get some bulb holders to take dual filament 5 21 watt white bulbs, and they're still not really bright enough. So the best solution is to use the holders exactly as they are and use LEDs for the indicator lamps because they're super bright. They turn on and off really quickly. I don't really like them, but they're the safest, simplest option. The indicator failure, which is a function I think you have to have here. I think if you've got indicators, it does have to be able to show you if they've failed. And with the thermal flasher, so one of the problems with LEDs is if you try to switch to all LEDs, you can't use an old school thermal flasher because they don't draw enough current to make the flasher work. You can get electronic ones, and it turns out Nava actually have a whole system where if you use a paired indicator lamp, it actually sends out a timed pulse that mimics the 21 watt bulb. And in the case of failure, it stops sending out that pulse so that the flasher unit knows that something has failed and it can go into the failure mode. The electronic ones typically double the flash rate so that you know a bulb was failed. The old thermal flashers, they slow down when a bulb fails. The more bulbs you've got, the faster they flash because the more current is going through them. With mine, I've tested it out, and if I use an incandescent bulb at the back, which is fine, and a LED at the front, if either of those bulbs fails, the flasher stops working. So you know, you get that visual indication that the lights aren't flashing, the lamp on the dash won't flash, and the thing won't be clicking. So that should meet the requirement of the failed bulb indication. And I think that's really it for this update.